The wind sweeps across the Heartland ranch, carrying a chill that feels different this time. Something's coming, something that will test not just courage, but the strength of family, the loyalty of love, and the will to survive. Episode 4 of Season 19, Braving the Wilderness, isn't just another day in Hudson. It's a turning point. Out there in the wild, every heartbeat echoes with fear, hope, and determination. And this time, even the land itself seems to be keeping secrets. The camera opens to a wide shot of the Heartland Valley, early morning mist curling over the fields. Horses move slowly through the fog, their breath visible, their steps careful. A soft hum of the wind fills the air, and for a moment, everything feels still. Then, a distant rumble of thunder breaks the calm. A storm is coming. Both in the sky and in the hearts of those who call this place home, voiceover begins. Every story in Heartland starts with the land itself, quiet, powerful, untamed. It's seen laughter and tears, beginnings and endings. But now, the wilderness calls once again. Season 19. Episode 4, Braving the Wilderness, pulls our family away from the comfort of the ranch and into a world where nature decides who stays strong and who breaks. As the voice continues, the visuals cut between glimpses of the main characters. Amy walks toward the stables, her eyes fixed on the tree line beyond the fields. Jack stands near the barn, his weathered face calm but shadowed with worry. Lou flips through papers in her office, distracted, the sound of thunder outside stealing her attention. There's a sense of unease, something bigger building beneath the surface. Heartland has always been about family, about healing, about finding your way home. But what happens when home is tested? When it's swallowed by something bigger than all of us? In this episode, the wild isn't just a setting. It's a challenge. It pushes Amy, Caleb, and the others to face their fears head-on, far beyond the fences they know so well. The music begins to swell, gentle guitar strings mixed with the low hum of tension. The shot fades from the ranch to the dark woods that lie beyond, the camera slowly panning between tall trees and fading light. The wilderness doesn't care about plans, promises, or past mistakes. Out here, the rules change. Out here, survival isn't about who's the strongest. It's about who refuses to give up. The visuals shift to a campfire scene, maybe a teaser flash forward. A lone figure, wrapped in a jacket, sits by the fire under the stars. Their face is hidden, but their breathing is heavy. The voiceover softens. In braving the wilderness, every step forward means leaving something behind. But maybe that's how we find out who we really are. The section closes with the camera pulling back into a wide shot, the valley under storm clouds, lightning flashing in the distance. The title appears, Heartland, Season 19. Episode 4, Braving the Wilderness. Soft instrumental outro fades. The voiceover begins softly. Over a slow aerial of Heartland Ranch at sunrise, golden light brushing over the barn roofs and the fields that stretch endlessly. But beneath that beauty, there's tension. The kind that hides behind every calm morning. Before the storm breaks, let's remember where our story left us. Heartland isn't just a place, it's a heartbeat shared by generations. Amy's fight to hold on to that spirit has never been easy. Between the loss, the healing, and the endless challenges, she's learned one truth. Every chapter begins with something being tested. Quick cuts flash across the screen. Amy training a wild horse that refuses to trust her. Lou arguing on the phone, the weight of leadership pressing on her shoulders. Jack standing alone by the corral fence, his eyes lost in thought. Tim pacing the yard, restless as if he already senses what's coming. Season 19 has been about finding balance in a world that keeps shifting. The old ways versus the new. The safety of the ranch against the pull of the unknown. And through it all, Amy's trying to protect more than just horses. She's protecting the heart of Heartland itself. The music swells slightly, a blend of acoustic guitar and distant cello, evoking warmth and unease. The visuals cut to memories of Episode 3, a broken fence, a storm rolling in. A horse running wild through the fields. Every problem here feels personal because at Heartland, love and loss walk hand in hand. Last episode, the family faced more than just another challenge. The weather turned rough, the horses panicked, and choices had to be made. But sometimes the hardest choice is the one that means stepping away from home to protect it. The screen fades to a black and white montage, still shots of Amy looking toward the horizon, Caleb loading his truck, and Lou watching from the porch. The voice continues, steadier now. Gah. Episode 4 takes us beyond the fences into the wilderness that's been waiting all along. Out there, Amy and Caleb won't just face the wild, they'll face themselves. And for the first time, the wilderness will not be just a backdrop. It will be the test. A faint sound of thunder echoes in the background. The scene transitions from the golden warmth of the ranch to the dark greens of a forest, thick trees, whispering leaves. In a sense of mystery ahead, Heartland has always reminded us that family isn't built by walls. It's built by trust. But what happens when trust is pushed past its limit? When you can't rely on comfort or safety or even each other? That's where this story begins. The section ends with a low-angle shot of a single horse standing near the forest edge, tail flicking in the wind, eyes wide. A whisper of music fades out as the screen dims. Voiceover final line of section. Everything they've learned, everything they've fought for, will be tested beyond the pasture. Because sometimes the only way home is through the wild. The screen fades in from darkness. A quiet breath of wind moves through tall pines. The world feels still, almost sacred, like nature itself is holding its breath. Then, a whisper of thunder. A single leaf breaks from a branch and drifts down slowly. Caught in a shaft of light, voice over low. Steady. They call this episode Braving the Wilderness. But it's not just about walking into the woods. It's about walking into fear, into the parts of life that can't be controlled, planned or tamed. The visuals shift. Glimpses of Amy tightening her saddle straps, Caleb pulling on his gloves, Lou watching from the porch with quiet worry. Each shot feels like a moment before departure, before a line is crossed. The wilderness isn't only a place, it's a test, one that comes for everyone, sooner or later. For Amy, it means trusting her instincts again. For Caleb, it's about proving he can lead when everything else is falling apart. And for the family back home, it means waiting. Not knowing who will come back the same, music begins to build, soft drums under distant strings, a heartbeat growing louder. The camera pans over a rough map on a table, hands tracing routes through valleys and forests. We hear faint radio static, someone calling through wind. Do you copy? Silence follows. Voiceover. Every journey begins with confidence, but confidence fades fast when the wild answers back. Out here, there's no audience, no safety net, no comfort, only instinct and heart. Quick flashes break the quiet rhythm. A horse galloping through rain, a tree cracking in lightning. Amy's face lit by a campfire, her eyes wide but steady. Each image feels like a heartbeat, fast, uncertain, alive. Voiceover continues, tone rising with emotion. In Braving the Wilderness, Heartland goes deeper than ever before. It's not just about surviving the elements, it's about surviving doubt. The fear of losing what matters most. The fear of not being enough. Because sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in the open. They're fought inside where no one can see you break. The scene slows again. A quiet forest after the storm. Rain drips from leaves. The world feels washed clean but scarred. A horse's faint neigh echoes through the trees. Voice dash over softly. The wilderness doesn't care who you are, hero, parent, dreamer. It only asks one question. Will you keep going? The camera tilts upward, clouds parting slightly, sunlight spilling through branches. Hope and danger blend together in one frame. Final line of section. This is Braving the Wilderness, where every step forward could be the one that changes everything. The music fades, replaced by the sound of wind over the open plains. Title appears on screen in quiet text. Heartland, Season 19, Episode 4, coming soon. The sound of rain fades into the crackle of a campfire. Sparks rise into the night sky, disappearing into the dark. For a moment, it's quiet. Only the steady rhythm of a horse breathing nearby and the soft hum of wind between trees. Then a voice, calm, thoughtful, a little uncertain. Voiceover. In this episode, every step takes them deeper, not just into the forest, but into themselves. Braving the wilderness begins with a call for help. A horse is missing after a storm, but finding it will lead Amy and Caleb far beyond where they've ever gone before. Cut 2 visuals: muddy roads, a broken fence, hoof prints fading into the distance. Amy kneels in the dirt, tracing the prints with her hand. Caleb watches, his jaw set. The wilderness stands before them, wide, silent, and waiting. Voiceover. At first, it's just about rescue. But the farther they go, the more the wilderness starts to feel alive, watching, testing. Every sound echoes. Every shadow moves. The land they've always known suddenly feels unfamiliar. A flash of thunder lights up the trees. The camera catches glimpses, Amy's flashlight cutting through mist. Caleb pushing through tangled brush, their horses breathing hard. The forest feels... Voiceover continues. Back at the ranch, Lou feels the weight of not knowing. She tries to keep things calm, but her hands won't stop shaking. Jack reminds her, sometimes you have to let people find their own way back. But that doesn't make the waiting any easier. Soft piano notes begin to play under the voice. The scene shifts to Jack at the barn door, rain dripping from his hat. He looks toward the tree line, his eyes filled with something between worry and faith. Voiceover. Every story in Heartland is about more than what's lost. It's about what's found along the way. Out there in the wilderness, Amy and Caleb will face more than nature's fury. They'll face doubt, fear, and the quiet truth that sometimes, to find what's missing, you have to lose your way first. Montage. Amy slipping in the mud, catching herself, determination burning in her eyes. Caleb shouting her name through the storm. The missing horse rearing in fear, tangled in branches. The two of them working together, steady hands, steady hearts, voiceover building tension. But the rescue isn't the real story. The real story is what happens after, when the storm fades and silence settles in. When Amy realizes this trip wasn't just about saving a horse, it was about finding her strength again, the kind she thought she'd lost long ago. Cut to morning light, mist lifting. Amy standing by the horse, her hand on its neck, the sunlight breaking through clouds. Caleb watches her quietly, no words, just understanding, voiceover soft, reflective. In the end, they come home, changed, but stronger. Because sometimes, you have to face the wilderness to remember why home matters at all. The scene closes with the distant view of the Heartland Ranch under sunrise. Horses running free. The camera lingers and slowly fades to black. The final line of section, Episode 4, reminds us, the wild isn't the enemy. It's the mirror that shows us who we really are. The camera opens on a quiet shot, morning mist rolling across the open fields. A single horse stands still, its mane catching the golden light. The storm is over. The land looks peaceful again. But the faces we can't see have changed. Voice dash over soft, steady. Every storm leaves a mark, not always on the land, but on the heart. Braving the wilderness isn't just a story about surviving the wild. It's about the courage to face the storms that live inside us. The visuals slowly fade through moments of calm. Amy brushing the horse she saved. Caleb staring out at the forest. Lou holding a coffee mug by the window as sunlight returns. The quiet feels heavier than the thunder ever did. Voiceover. This episode whispers a truth we all know but rarely face. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't out there in the wilderness. They're the ones that happen in silence when no one's watching, when fear meets faith, when doubt meets hope. A faint acoustic melody begins, soft strings and piano, echoing warmth and ache. The screen shows close-ups, hands brushing dirt off a saddle, tear wiped away, a letter folded and placed on a table. Voiceover. For Amy. The wilderness is more than trees and storms. It's the weight of everything she's been holding in, the fear of not being enough, the memories that still hurt, the hope that refuses to die. And for Caleb, It's about learning that strength isn't just about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go. The camera cuts to the forest, sunlight dripping through leaves, dust and light dancing in the air. A gentle breeze moves the grass. The world feels alive again. Voiceover. Out there, away from the noise, they find what every soul looks for. Peace. Not the kind that's easy, but the kind that's earned. The kind that comes after facing what you've been running from. Montage. Amy sitting by a campfire, eyes reflecting the flames. Caleb watching the sunrise, breathing deeply. Lou opening an old photo album, smiling through her tears. Voice dash over stronger now. Full of feeling, Heartland has always been about healing, the slow, steady kind that comes with love, family, and time. But braving the wilderness takes that to another level. It asks, who are we when everything safe is stripped away? When all that's left is truth? The visuals turn warmer, the ranch at sunset, laughter faint in the background, a horse galloping freely across the field, voiceover softening. In the end, it's not about escaping the wilderness. It's about learning to walk through it, to face fear and still move forward, to trust that no matter how lost we feel, there's always a way back home. The music swells, hopeful and full. The final shot shows the open plains glowing under the evening sun. The horizon feels endless, but somehow, welcoming voice dash over a final line of section. Because sometimes the wilderness isn't the enemy. It's the teacher showing us that strength isn't found in never breaking, but in breaking and still choosing to rise. Fade out. The music fades into the low hum of wind sweeping across the ranch. The storm is gone, but something heavier lingers. Silence. Not peaceful silence, but the kind that follows a truth you can't ignore. Voice over quiet. Tense. They made it back from the wilderness, but not everything that was lost can be found again. Visuals are slow. Amy standing by the fence, her hands still muddy. Caleb saddling his horse, not looking at her. Lou on the porch, staring out at the horizon with a worried frown. There's no dialogue. Only space. The kind that lets emotion breathe. Voiceover. Episode 4 doesn't end with celebration. It ends with questions, choices, scars, because every journey into the wild leaves something behind. And for Amy and Caleb, what they left might be trust. The camera cuts between flashbacks, Amy calling out through the storm, Caleb not answering right away. Caleb choosing a different trail, believing it was safer. Two people, same goal, but different instincts. Voiceover, steady, emotional. Fear changes people. Out there, fear makes you brave, but it also makes you reckless. Caleb thought he was protecting them both. Amy thought he didn't believe in her. And now, back home, the distance between them feels colder than the rain ever did. The visuals fade to Jack in the barn, brushing a horse, his voice unheard, but his posture heavy. He looks toward Amy, that fatherly concern, a quiet understanding. Voiceover. Jack knows the wilderness better than anyone. He's seen how it breaks people, how it builds them back. But he also knows healing doesn't happen overnight. Not for the land, and not for the heart. Music swells, a slow aching violin over soft piano. The storm clouds drift across the sky again, faint light pushing through. Voiceover. This episode asks the hardest question of all. What's the real cost of survival? You can save a life, you can find your way home, but at what price? When trust is cracked, when silence replaces words, when the people you love feel like strangers, that's the kind of battle no one prepares you for. Montage of emotion. Amy walking through the empty paddock, touching the fence with quiet guilt. Caleb repairing the broken gate in the background, glancing at her but saying nothing. Lou slamming a cabinet shut. Frustration, fear, love all tangled together. Voiceover tense, powerful. Every character in Heartland is brave in their own way. But this episode reminds us, bravery isn't always about charging ahead. Sometimes it's about facing what's broken and admitting you can't fix it alone. The scene fades to a wide aerial shot, the ranch at dusk. The land looks vast, almost endless. The sky glows orange and violet, voice dash over softly. The wilderness outside is nothing compared to the one inside. Out there, they fought storms and darkness. But in here, they'll fight pride, guilt, and the long road back to trust. The final shot, Amy standing by the barn, watching the last light fade, her hand resting on the horse's neck. The air feels still but not hopeless. Final line of section slow, emotional, because the wilderness doesn't end when you leave the trees behind. Sometimes it follows you home. The screen fades to black. Soft instrumental outro carries into silthoscreen, fades from darkness into a pale morning sky. Soft light spreads across the Heartland Ranch. The storm has passed. The air looks clean, washed, new. Horses graze quietly, their coats glistening under the sun. The camera glides slowly, gently, no rush, no noise. Just peace. Voice dash over calm, reflective. The wilderness is quiet again. But the quiet feels different now, deeper, wiser. Because after every storm, something inside you changes. You learn what you can endure, and what you can't live without. Cut to Amy standing near the paddock, her hand resting on the horse she rescued. Caleb walks past her, nods once, no words needed. Lou watches from the porch, the faintest smile breaking through her worry. And in that silence, you can feel everything that's been said without being spoken. Voiceover, softly. Episode 4 doesn't end with victory. It ends with truth. The truth that love isn't about never falling apart. It's about choosing to come back together, again and again, even when it hurts. The camera moves slowly across the ranch, the barn doors open. Sunlight spilling through, Jack fixing a post, his hands steady. The land stretching out to the horizon, wild and beautiful as ever. Voiceover steady, heartfelt. Braving the wilderness reminds us that healing takes time, that courage isn't loud, it's quiet, patient, often unseen. It's in the way Amy still believes in her work, the way Caleb keeps showing up, the way Jack never stops believing that broken things can still be made whole. A soft piano melody begins, slow, emotional, full of light. The tone shifts from reflection to inspiration, voiceover warmer now. This isn't just another episode. It's a mirror showing us that the wild,